Hey everybody, welcome back to Jackson and Seth at the Movies, where we talk about movies all day. I'm Jackson Hayes, fellow movie lover, filmmaker, and here with me is with my best friend, filmmaker, film lover, also, Seth.
Hey everybody.
Seth, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I am ready to talk about some movies. And yeah, how are you doing, Jackson?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well as myself. I'm really excited to talk about our subject for today.
Oh yeah.
So, for the most part, this whole podcast will be all focused on one movie. There has been other movies that came out, but we didn't really care. And this is pretty much the movie everybody's talking about, and of course we're going to talk about it. And there hasn't been much movie news. So, this whole review, this whole podcast episode is going to be dedicated to Wonder Woman. Of course, this is a movie I feel like is probably the most biggest talked about movie of the year so far. It's been getting really good reviews. People really like it.
So, we really like it. At least I do.
Well, that's where we get to you, Seth. And this will be a spoiler and a non-spoiler. But for now, we'll do non-spoilers. We'll do spoilers after.
This podcast will probably be about 45 to an hour just talking about Wonder Woman.
Pretty much.
We'll probably do half and half of spoilers, non-spoilers. Basic non-spoilers review to get into it. I love this movie. It's one of my top 3 favorite comic book movies of all time. I've seen it quite a few times already. I said this to a few people, and I'll say it again. I think it's the second most, and this is my opinion, of course, the second most confidently directed superhero movie of all time. First being Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Now, I'm not saying it's the second best superhero movie, but I love this thing. I love the storytelling that was at play. I love how it interweaves genres just like, The Dark Knight does. It's a crime superhero movie. Captain America 2 does with a spy superhero movie. And then it's a war movie. It's a superhero movie with war elements. And there's things about it that as watching it, after the first time watching it, I paid attention to some of the war elements and what makes a war film. And this is a lot like a war film. The way it moves, the way it's centered, the way the band of brothers comes together. The first time I saw this, I didn't really care too much to see it. I was excited because I saw the great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I saw it had a great score. I was like, okay, I'm excited to see it. It will be okay. Boy, it's good. Gal Gadot, for the people who have doubted her, said, oh, she's not going to be a good actress. She is great in this movie. She is charismatic. She is beautiful in a lot of ways. She is so good. And she gives it her all. And I respect her so much for that. She is so good. Chris Pine is so good. There's a scene that we'll get more into later, I'm sure. But it's the no man's land, dead man's land scene. She's walking across this field, getting to the other side pretty much, where all these war people are shooting at her and everything. And she's walking, and it's kind of in slow-mo, which also Patty Jenkins does so much better than Zack Snyder. Slow motion, she made it feel good. She made it feel not forced, and she made it work to her advantage. She's walking across the field, and someone shoots a bullet at her, and it goes with the bullet in slow motion, and then it goes to her, and she does the arm thing where she knocks it away, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And then she just starts running, and Chris Pine, it cuts to him being like, let's go, and it is such a good scene. And there's parts of this movie that I didn't like too much, but for the most part, I loved it. I loved it a lot.
Great. Well, so I've been skeptical of this movie too. So far, not a huge fan of the recent DC movies. So, going into this one, I was like, okay, this could be the first one, or it could just... Which is, if some of you guys heard the last few ones, if Wonder Woman didn't impress me, then I would not continue with the DC movies and just give up. And I'm willing to say, this movie sucked.
Really?
This movie did not had enough Turkish airline product placements.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, you know I'm just fucking around. So, I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I am so happy that, for once, it felt like I had a good time watching this movie. Like, I was just thinking all the things like it could have done to ruin something in a story or a scene, but it avoids a lot of those things, which is great. I can tell that a lot of people put more effort into this movie to make it very entertaining, look very appealing, and the acting was actually really good compared to all the other ones. And I can see why with you and everyone else, they loved it. That's great. I didn't love it particularly. I didn't think it was amazing, but I liked it. And I'm so glad that I enjoyed it and I didn't have to go out to a movie theater and complain about it to somebody. I could just go around and say, it was a good movie. Go check it out. And I'm really happy with that. Thanks to Patty Jenkins for making the movie very entertaining, make the movie look pretty good a lot of times. What you said with Gal Gadot, I really liked her in this movie. I didn't like her in Batman v Superman. I think that's just mostly with direction with Zack Snyder.
Didn't give her much to work with.
Not really. This time you get to see her a little bit more charismatic. You get to see her a more emotional side, which she's really good at doing that. And to be honest, I haven't seen Gal Gadot in other movies. I know she was in like a couple. Well, actually, I've seen Keeping Up with the Joneses, which she was great in this movie. She was really great. Chris Pine was also really good. I really liked the chemistry between the two characters with Chris Pine and Wonder Woman.
Very good.
Like, I was looking at these two, and I was looking at some of the other most recent superhero movies when they have couples, like, say, Doctor Strange or Thor, when those are, like, probably the most generic and the most uninteresting love relationship or couple. This time, you actually get to feel it. Like, they have a lot of chemistry with each other, mostly because I feel like it has the buddy cop situation where, you know, one person's different from the other. And I thought this movie would be really annoying with the fish out of water jokes. But luckily, it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like, oh, get it? You know, that sort of thing. It felt like, because it works with the movie where Wonder Woman wants to explore things. Like, she wants to know more about humanity outside of her island. And another thing I really like is that this movie actually has a message. Believe it or not, it has a message. I mean, this movie isn't all about setting up for another movie or just a movie making a superhero look cool. They actually put a lot of thought into a character where she comes in from a world that everybody thinks black and white. They think, oh, everybody just makes one simple choices. And when she goes out to explore humanity, like in London, all the people and the bad guys, World War I, we could see how, you know, everybody is not exactly good or bad. They're just in the middle, above average. There's always people that believe in their things. Like, they don't just follow somebody just because they'll do it. They say in the movie where they say they believe in themselves, they want to do something, which is really interesting, and I find it really smart compared to, you know, the other most superhero movies, and I was really impressed with that. This movie's made really well, like, technical aspects. Well, I mean, we'll get into special effects later, but the cinematography, the editing, and the sound was all really good, especially the first half where they show the Amazonian island.
Oh, great.
It looks great.
Very good beginning.
Very colorful.
First act is so good.
Yeah.
Second act is so good. Third act is where it fails.
Yeah.
In what I'm sure is... So, here's what I'll say. Here's the only problem I have with this movie. Only problem at all is the fight at the end. She fights Hades, who I won't give away who he is.
Did you say Hades?
Did I say Ares? Sorry. She fights Ares, the god of war, who I won't give away who he is, but it's literally like it was picked out of Batman vs Superman.
You know how I said that Zack Snyder was part of this movie somewhere? Mm-hmm. I feel like that's one part of the story where it's like, ooh, she should do a big battle with this guy.
Here's what redeemed it for me, though. It's such an emotional fight scene. Say what you will. Say you don't have to like the fight scene. I don't like the fight. But it is emotional. The things that are going on around her as that fight scene's going on, I've never felt a superhero loving someone else in a movie. Mm-hmm. Not even in The Dark Knight. I did not believe that Christian Bale, Bruce Wayne, loved Rachel. I didn't. Here's the thing. I believed that Chris Pine loved her and that she loved him. Okay? I was brought to tears at the end. I'm not going to spoil anything, of course, but the scene is just so emotional. And like, yeah, the fight sucks. That's why it's not my... Honestly, I'm not going to lie to anyone. If the fight wasn't at the end, I might say this is my favorite superhero movie of all time. I stayed for everything but the fight in the movie. It would be my favorite superhero movie of all time.
I agree. It's mostly just the third act was really weak for me.
Let's jump. After she saves the town from dying, pretty much, which isn't a spoiler. You pretty much see it in the trailer. After they plan to go to a Nazi German party in that town, that's when it gets weak. Because she turns into a character for a couple of minutes that makes no sense. She goes to this party, and she's walking through this party. Everyone's looking at her. She got a fucking sword on her back.
Yeah, how come nobody saw that?
No, it's ridiculous. That right there, no joke, took me out of the movie for about 2 minutes. I was like, and it made people in my theater laugh. I'm like, jeez. I'm like, really? What? Like, I get that she has to have that sword to kill him, but make consequences for her. Show us why. Like, because there's no way during a world war someone walks in with a sword
on
her back.
Like, you can see
and everyone's looking at her
the
too.
hilt of it, which
everyone's
is really
looking at her too. She's like, it's like the streamline of Wonder Woman is beautiful. She's this radiant force. Mm-hmm. Well, she's got a sword on her freaking back.
Yeah, how come nobody saw that?
It's a problem with it's like, and then she's like, I was gonna kill him, and then Chris Pine's like, not here, stop. She runs away. She's like, I'll do it without you. You made it so I couldn't kill Ares.
I didn't mind that.
Yeah.
I think it just starts when they show Ares, which again, we won't reveal what happened, but at that point, that's when the movie could have went with a really nice, smart, small, simple action scene that would have been really fun, intense, and emotional. But I guess now with every superhero movies, they gotta have like a big bombastic last action part at the end of the movie. It's like the first Iron Man movie where everything is all good, and then when they introduce the villain who's not really built up as well or intimidating.
He's not built up. He's not built
really. Up. They just mention his name. They're like, oh,
you see him a few times.
Yeah, flashbacks, and then like when they show him, it's just like, oh, it's the villain.
Well, okay, so here's what we're gonna do, because we're about to get into spoilers, because there's no way we can talk about this without spoilers.
There is actually a couple things I can mention without spoilers, and some of these are flaws. I have some flaws with this movie. Okay. Like I said, if you love this movie, fantastic. There are a couple things that kind of kept me from absolutely loving the movie. Some of the special effects, especially the green screen moments, look really bad. Like, there are a lot of noticeable ones. And I was just like, oh, wow, that looks so, Like, it didn't really felt like Wonder Woman was really out there fighting, or sometimes when she's making poses. Like, it just feels like if she's standing on something and then behind is a green screen, which I would have to blame on lighting for not matching the background, because you can obviously tell, like, it just doesn't fit. Like, there's that last shot of the movie where she just jumps up and flies. It's supposed to be the epic moment. Then it just cuts to in front of her, and then you can see the obvious. And it's just like, oh.
That's a problem.
That's a little annoying. And some of the dialogue is a bit cheesy. I wouldn't say they're bad, but there are a couple things where I'm like...
What do you mean? Give an example.
Okay. There's a couple ones where... Well, I'm trying to think. Well, like, there was a scene when Chris Pine says, when... Well, actually, some of these lines are a little bit spoilery. I'm trying to figure out one. Okay, there's one where Wonder Woman's mother... where she would say, like, oh, she mustn't know what she'll become. She shouldn't know who she really is. And I'm like, that's a little bit difficult. I mean, it doesn't bother me as much when, the characters are really good. Like, that could pretty much give it a pass for me. But it's a little bit noticeable. It's not horrible. It's just a little minor. And there are a couple of other minor things. The music's a little generic. I like the Wonder Woman theme a lot, actually. Whenever they bring it up with the action scenes, I really like that. But everything else is just meh.
Boom, 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 boom. This movie, okay, do you have any other problems you want to talk about?
Oh, actually, one more.
You got it.
I can understand how you like the slow-mo action scenes. I feel like it's a little bit gimmicky for me. Like, it was really cool the first time they do it. Like, when Wonder Woman actually gets out, and then she blocks off the bullet with the wrist, which, of course, that was shown in the trailer. I thought that was the best part of the slow-mo. But then when they keep doing it over and over and over again, I'm like, I get it. It's slow-mo and then fast motion, then slow-mo and fast motion. I think Patty Jenkins is really good when it comes to directing actors and coming up with the scenery, how it should look, but I don't think she's a great action director.
I think
Catherine Bigelow is a better.
I think you're wrong.
Director.
And here's why.
Sure.
And I respect your opinion, of course. That's the thing about me and Jackson. If this is your first time listening to this, we respect each other's opinions. But here's Patty Jenkins. This is her second movie she's ever directed.
Right, and I haven't seen her previous one.
Monster, very good movie. The action is better than anything else we've seen in the DC universe. I'll give her a pass for that. And this is coming from someone who thinks Zack Snyder's action's pretty top-notch. The only good scene in Batman vs. Superman, I would say, is when he's going through that, like, warehouse place, and it keeps, like, cutting back and forth. And I really like that scene a lot. I think it's a cool Batman action scene. Mm-hmm. I love the scene when she jumps through the window, stands there for a second. Everyone's like, oh. She just starts kicking butt, and then she cuts slow-mo. But it cuts slow-mo at the right parts. When she snaps that gun behind her neck, tell me that the slow motion didn't affect that. Like, make it a bigger moment. Can you tell me that? Do you think it would have been the same in fast motion if she would have broken up off a gun? Be honest with me. And so
I feel like you can get it either with or without slow motion.
here's what I'm saying. I think she has the best sensibility of most directors working today.
I do agree that the action scenes are better, except for the last one, but it's mostly the no man's land that's the biggest highlight of the whole movie. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I appreciate that this movie, like if this movie was directed by Zack Snyder and he would have handled the action scenes, they would have been much worse than what the actual Wonder Woman movie's given us. It's just, it was cool when they have a couple of slow-mo moments, but then when it keeps going and going, I'm just like, okay, I get it. There are cool shots. Yes, that was a cool shot when she had the gun right up to her, I think it was like her waist actually, breaks it.
Yep.
But then like beyond that, they keep going and going and again. I'm like, okay, why not try something a little new? I mean, like I said, I appreciate how, if you put other obnoxious thing into an action movie or in an action scene, like say a shaky cam, I appreciate that, they didn't go for that. I just felt like it was gimmicky. Just a little gimmicky.
And I can understand that, where you're coming from, of course.
Mm-hmm. And I can understand where you're coming from, because yes, the shots, the cinematography is really good. Like I said, I think she knows how to do some really good shots, how to make the movie look good. Even with its murky look at the second half, I didn't mind it because it took place around World War I and London, which I'm like, yeah, usually lots of movies would depict around World War, or the 1900s to the 1930s to be pretty depressing era for the most part. Yeah. But that's all the problems I can think of.
I want to say, I guess we kind of just talked about it. I was going to talk about the action scene. Because I loved it a lot. I really did. Here's what I'll say about this movie. It feels like a superhero movie. Mm-hmm. Because we get a lot of superhero movies these days, comic book movies, that look like sci-fi movies.
True.
Am I wrong? No. Sorry. Am I wrong? No. I'm answering my own question, Jackson. You don't get to answer.
I got there first.
Say Guardians of the Galaxy. It's colorful. Uh-huh. It feels like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it does.
But
that's like when we talk about really good superhero movies, like we can compare these superhero movies not just as
I'm not talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Yeah. I'm talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, same thing with that
one. Avengers, honestly, Age of Ultron feels like a sci-fi movie.
100%. I didn't care for that movie, and it just didn't look good for a lot of times.
But like they introduced all the robots, and I'm like, oh, might as well call this iRobot and throw Will Smith in there. Okay, so it feels like an action, feels like a comic book movie, looks like one. And guys, that's our non-spoiler reviews. Jackson, just give your score for the non-spoiler Wonder Woman. What would you score it?
Okay, I feel like it was a good movie. Comparing this to the previous DC movies, this is the one that I think everybody should watch if somebody would want to get into DC movies. Because Man of Steel, I didn't like that one because it was loud and annoying. Batman v Superman was a piece of shit. I just hated every single moment of that. Suicide Squad was super generic. This one actually felt like... The difference what I felt like with Wonder Woman and the other ones is, like I said, it's good. Not just, it's good. And yes, it's good.
It's a well-rounded movie.
It felt like people put effort into this one.
Especially Patty Jenkins.
Yes. As long as they get good writers and good creative directors to put somewhat of a new spin of the movie. Like, I wouldn't say this movie's absolutely new when it comes to superheroes, because it's sort of like Thor mixed with Captain America. But this movie does it better than Captain America or Thor. I wouldn't say I love it, because I have flaws with the movie, like all movies. This is a movie where I wouldn't watch it all the time. But I would watch it once in a while. Yeah, at least once in a year or twice. Mm-hmm. It's like a...
You'll buy the Blu-ray.
Yes. It's like a good Marvel movie where, it's not the greatest, but I can return to watch it every once in a while when I feel like I want to watch a fun movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like this is. And and I appreciate everybody that put a lot of work into the movie. There were obviously some stuff that could have been better, but I'm really glad to say that this is a good DC movie, a DC Extended Universe movie, and I'm willing to continue. Stop it. He's doing something weird and he's distracting me. Anyways, God damn, Seth.
I didn't
can't remember what I was...
You're about to give it a score.
That's right. Okay. So, check out this movie. I will definitely give more of these DC movies a chance, even though I still have suspicions on Justice League, but I'm willing to give it a chance if Wonder Woman was willing to impress me. So, I give it a B.
If the movie was willing to impress you?
Joss Whedon, you better make those scenes good.
Here's what I'm going to give it.
My rating's a B.
Because Jackson is a wiener face and likes to give movies scores that they don't deserve. They deserve better. Okay? Wonder Woman deserves a 9 out of 10.
I'm giving a thumbs up to you. Good job.
9 out of 10. Love it. Gal Gadot is great. And she's so pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can we just be honest? Like, I'm not being, like, sexual or anything. She's just one of the most pretty women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And a good actress.
She is a great actress. Alright, guys. So that's it for our non-spoiler review.
Now we're getting to spoilers, which is really... The only scene I really want to talk about is the No Man's Land. Because we've already discussed the third act, how... I
want to talk about the third act spoiler-wise.
Alright. We'll do that first.
We'll start with the No Man's Land.
Or No Man's Land?
Well, we're going in order of the movie.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
What are you trying to say about No Man's Land, Jackson?
No Man's Land is probably the best thing I've ever seen from this movie. Actually, it's one of the best things I've seen from a superhero movie.
Top two to three scenes in any superhero movie for me.
Now I'm trying to think
the only ones preceding it would be when Batman's interrogating the Joker in The Dark Knight.
And the tunnel scene. That was really cool.
Tunnel scene is pretty cool.
And then there was also the big fight at the end of Dark Knight Rises. That was really cool. Basically, this scene is part of up there with one of the best superhero action moments, or best superhero moments in general.
Yep, definitely. So No Man's Land, super emotional, right? Super good. I don't know what spoilers you want to talk about.
Well, here's what I want to talk about. I was thinking about the things that could have ruined this scene, but I'm so happy that they dodged a lot of these moments where it felt so smart. Well, it didn't felt so forced or anything, but it felt like an emotional moment where, people are dying and, you see that Wonder Woman's like, we should help these people. And they're like, no, we can, but we just can't really do anything about it. And they keep saying that over and over. And then finally, Wonder Woman kind of puts it up with them and just goes, no, something has to be done.
So here's what she says. So there's a moment she, looks back and she goes, she puts her hands through her hair, takes out the braid. Steve Trevor looks at her, Chris Pine, and she's like, no, but it's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Oh!
Do you know what could have ruined that?
What?
You know in Lord of the Rings and Return of the King, where there's that cool scene where the Witch King was going up against that one... Oh, I forgot her name, but she disguises herself as a soldier, and he's like, no man can kill me. And then she's like, I'm no man. It could have been a really forced feminist thing, but I liked how this felt more this is more of a character's decision more than women are awesome. That sort of thing. It felt so natural.
It could have been I'm a woman, so I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
But she says it, and I'm like, oh, shit. I said, oh, it's on, bro. I said it is on till the break of dawn.
It gets you so pumped and excited. And when she goes up there, it is so
just starts
cool.
happening. Then she starts running. Oh, when she starts running, you know it's on. Because she's running, and then she gets her shield. She's pushing against the bullets. And everyone in the trench that she was in was like, let's go! And you see all the soldiers come out at once. And it's that big Braveheart part. Everyone goes at once.
Yeah.
Everyone. And you say, this is why this movie's going to be important. A female, here's the thing, okay? I'm all about women in film. I'm a big supporter of that.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they presented that so well, and they presented the fact that, look, Wonder Woman, she is this. She leads armies. She leads men. But it doesn't say that to you. It doesn't say because she's a woman, she leads men. Because she's a woman, she leads army. It's because she's a person. And it looks upon her as though she's a person.
Yeah.
But it happens to be that she is a girl. And she can do what we can do, is what it's saying pretty much. And I loved it.
This pretty much shows, like, pretty much this movie treats everybody equal. Like, it doesn't matter if you're...
There's no damsels in distress.
No.
Beautiful.
Not at all. Great. But it doesn't matter on what genre. What's that word? It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, man or a woman, race or whatever. You go up on your own, which is awesome. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't feel so forced feminist. It felt like this didn't annoy me where it's just like, oh yeah, women are awesome, men are just eh. Like I said, they treat everybody equal. Like, Chris Pine was well acted, well developed. He was an interesting person as well. I like how he tries to tell Wonder Woman, like, not everything works. Like I said, black and white. Everybody's complex. They're all different in a way. And I appreciate that so much. It just felt so refreshing from other movies that tries to...
So you're talking about near when she's about to fight, when she kills the general. Am I in the right part?
Yeah.
So she kills the general, stabs a sword through him. Everyone keeps on going.
Yeah, they just keep going. That was such a great scene.
Great scene, because she's like, you can tell she's just... And it's a great, what is it called in screenwriting terms? I don't know how to... It's a great throwback to when her mom says, men do not deserve you. Because she says, they don't deserve us. Steve Trevor says, look, sometimes people are just bad. Sometimes people are just good. We don't get to decide. I can't decide who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You can't decide who I am, but we can decide who we are.
Right.
That's why this movie's so good. Is because it puts ideas and presents them in a good way like that into our head.
Yeah. It's also something we would call, what is it? A role model.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Here's the thing. This was another moment. I cried a few times during this movie. I'm not ashamed. I thought it was good, and I thought it presented a lot. It deals with love, the theme of love, in such a great way. Do you not agree?
I just feel like, well, no. Well, I get where I get where you're coming from, and I super 100% agree with that. Love is just kind of a cheesy word to describe it.
But it is, okay? So, sorry.
Although, maybe I think... Here's what I'm thinking.
So here's the thing. We'll finish what we're talking about now, and then we'll get to the love part. Because we're just at the beginning of the last act, right?
Right.
So, they're talking. He's like, I'm going to go save the world, because that's what I do. I'm going to go be a good guy, because that's who I am. She says, let's run away. Let's go somewhere else, where this war isn't. And any sensible man would have said yes. Like, think about it. Like, yeah, let's go. Steve Trevor, and this is where it presents that even though Wonder Woman's the mean leading thing, this is why this didn't feel like too feministic of a film to me. Was because if it was too feministic, Steve Trevor would have been a pussy.
Yeah.
Okay? But he was strong. He was willing to do what he had to do to save his friends, save people. Okay? She says, let's leave. They do not deserve us. It's like my mother said, they do not deserve us. He said, I know they don't. but we have the power to save them.
Yeah.
And we're back, guys. Sorry about that interruption there. So we kind of left off at a weird place, but here's what we're going to say, okay? We're back, and we're talking about everything that we were just talking about, but we're just going to start over, pretty much. So we had just talked about Chris Pine, all that stuff, their conversation. We're now going to get to Hades being revealed.
Ares.
Shut up, Jackson. Excuse me for not being...
I'm a fan of Greek mythology, and
I'm sorry I'm an idiot. Unlike you. You're cool. And you're smart. And I'm an idiot.
I read. No, actually, no, I don't. I actually not good at reading books, but I read the internet. The internet's true, especially Wikipedia.
Oh, especially the Wikipedia.
Oh, yeah.
Everything you read on the internet is true.
So, Ares, probably my least favorite thing about this movie.
It's Professor Lupin.
They have to do the whole, oh, gotcha! This guy was the villain the whole time!
Even though he was the only one who was on their team.
Oh, the shock! Oh!
This is true.
That was just I was just like, wow, this is all really, really good. This is going really well. When we were talking about the scene, like I said, with Wonder Woman and Chris Pine, that was done so well. As soon as he leaves, I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. What is she going to do next? And then when he's in the office, I was like, oh, God, no. Please don't. And then he's like, I was Ares this whole time.
He didn't
I've
say
been
that. He said
watching
this.
you.
He said this. He said, you're right. They don't deserve us.
And then he explains how... Okay, you know what? I feel like this movie, even though this would piss off some comic book fans, and you probably won't agree with me, but I feel like this movie could have went without Ares. Like, maybe Ares was a made-up person. And he never shows up. I know, Ares is a big thing in the comics. I know. And I know that that's supposed to be like the big thing that the Amazonians believed in. And if the Amazonians were real in this universe and they mentioned Greek gods are real, then yeah, sure. But
here's what I'll say.
Oh my God, did they really have to make him as like the big villain of the movie? Or
Here's what I'll say.
It didn't feel like he wasn't part of anything. Go ahead.
Here's what I'll say. I agree with you. I wish he wouldn't have been in the movie.
Thank you.
You know what I wish would have happened?
What?
She would have stood there. She would have gotten on a horse, started riding away from everything. No joke. I wish this would have happened. I wish everything would have happened with Chris Pine and the friends, the band of brothers. She sees a plane. Because she's a god. You know, she knows things. She sees the plane go up, explode, that Chris Pine was in, and realizes, you know, yeah, mankind doesn't deserve me. They didn't deserve him either. But, you know, but... trying to get the right words here. But I need to be their protector. She goes back. I wish... Here's the only reason I'm glad that didn't happen. Because I would have liked it that way. Like, her just not fighting Ares.
Oh, yeah, me too. Like, maybe they could show, like, certain flashbacks of the fun time where she, like, interacts with Chris Pine and all the other World War II...
It could have been
World War I buddies.
Could have been like flashbacks, almost like so. It happens, then instant flashbacks. Like, so she sees Chris Pine and her dancing, Chris Pine and her kissing.
Yeah,
which I thought was handled very well.
Me too.
I think the sex scene, because it's not really a sex scene, but
There's
it's
no
like
sex scenes in this movie.
But
they kind of imply
it's an alluding sex scene,
right?
Because it's like about to happen.
Because she's learning things.
Yeah. I thought it was handled so well.
Yeah.
I wish everything like that could have happened. Flashbacks. Flash forward. 2 years, 3 years. The war is over. She then goes to the memorial, sees it, sees his face. Band of Brothers is dead.
Oh.
Candy is still there. Secretary. She's now her secretary. She's now Wonder Woman's secretary. She looks at the photo of all of them. The photo that Bruce Wayne sends her in the beginning, that's the photo she looks at on the board. Because then she puts her hand there and she can like have her finger on Chris Pine, but her hand's still on the board. What this would allude to is the fact that even though Chris Pine's this guy she loves, Chris Pine's this guy, the whole movie is their love. Really, alluding, relationship, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the romance.
But she's got these new friends. She's learned how to communicate with different types of people. And then it flashes forward to her typing the message to Bruce Wayne. Thanks for bringing them back. Oh. It's been so long.
I didn't really think about that.
Period. Imagine how good that would be for her character. I get Chris Pine's a big part, but at the end when she types, thanks for bringing him back, all it makes me think is, oh, she didn't really care about her friends. Like, thanks for bringing them back. Because even if they were alive in my scenario, you know they're dead by the point of where the movie is now. Like, right after BVS, you know they're all dead.
Yeah.
It's like 100 years later. Thanks for bringing them back.
That's really interesting.
Don't you think that would have been effective, though?
Yeah, that would have been more effective.
Thanks for bringing him back is great. But the thanks for bringing them back is how you deal with that solution to her writing off, war ending 2 years later. The way it ended, when Chris Pine is talking to her, you can't hear him.
That was really neat.
Then it does the flashback to her being able to hear him. It was so good.
That's interesting. I like your point of view of this ending. Like, mine was a little different. Like, if it was like the classic, oh, but I care for them, so I should go back, and it would be a fun little scene just to stop the planes and the mustard gas. But now when I think about it, that's actually a little bit better than because it would have been gone like, oh, if the usual action movies route would have done this.
Well, it would have been emotional. It would have had emotional tension, and it would have made Wonder Woman...
And it would have done so different a superhero movie where they just give up, kind of, and then they kind of rethink about everything.
Thanks for bringing them back. I've missed them all so much. Someday I'll have to tell you about it. Then it does, when she's writing that email, after she's done, flashes back. Her at the campsite with them. Her hit the guy singing to her. Her having that good conversation with the guy who wanted to be an actor. Her talking to the chief about Chris Pine and everyone. Flashbacks. The last one, here's how I would, if I was directing the film, which I could never direct this good of a movie. At least right now, of course. Flashback, 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 Chris Pine. Thanks for bringing them back. I've missed them so much.
That would have brought
Chris Pine's the last flashback. Them kissing is the last flashback of the movie. Don't do the after thing where she goes and saves the world. That's the last flashback. Movie's over. Her and Chris Pine kissing. Beat. Directed by Patty Jenkins. Like, wouldn't that have been great?
Yeah, that actually would be interesting, because, like, that's really different from most other superhero movies. And that's one thing I also have an issue with the third act. It feels like every other superhero movie where they do the last final act where the superhero goes up against the supervillain, big explosions, blah, blah, blah. This feels different. This feels like what The Dark Knight would do, taking a different direction.
So my idea is what you're saying feels different.
Oh yeah, everybody has their own visions.
Oh yeah.
But I really like yours. That sounds really cool. Hey Seth, why don't you direct Wonder Woman 2?
I would love to. DC.
Well, first of all, you got to be a woman to do it first because
DC, give me a job. Although I am glad Patty Jenkins directed this.
yes,
I'm glad a man didn't. Honestly, no joke. I don't think a man could have given this movie the flavor that Patty Jenkins.
Exactly. Like remember, there were other superheroine movies like Elektra, Catwoman, and Supergirl. I probably should have looked this up, but I'm probably gonna bet 1/3 of those movies must have been directed by guys.
All three of them were.
Maybe all three of them. And here's one where a woman, it just felt much more representative. And it's nice to see more women direct movies. I mean, I think we kind of need a little bit more of that.
Mm-hmm. Although I do want to go back. Sorry.
Oh, bless you.
We have about 5 to 10 minutes left. And here's what I want to say about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What actually does happen. Flashback when he's telling her, I love you. Last thing he says, I love you, he runs away. Here's what's so special about the fact that he doesn't immediately shoot the gas up in the air. He's pointing that plane, takes him a good 15 seconds to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Any other soldier would have just done it immediately. Any other character would have just done it. I believe in that moment the reason Patty Jenkins gave him the time was to put in someone's head, mine, be it yours, be it anyone's. It isn't mine. Steve cares for her.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to miss her. Love is one of the most special things anyone can feel. I have never felt love. I've felt love for family members. I have never felt love for like another human being. Like I've never been in love with anyone. But I know how special it is. And I know that if it wasn't so special, I would have been in love already. And I would have, just been in love with someone off the streets. So, for her to go back in that flashback and him say, I've got to go. I love you. Gives her the watch. Wow. It's a special moment.
That was a nice moment. That was one thing that was so... Like, even though there was the big bombardous action scene, it just kind of pauses to take a nice moment. And I appreciate that so much, because it gave a lot of emotion. And even though it was, like I said, when she kind of, like, thinks about it and she says, love is the only thing, that keeps us going... It does feel nice and sad. It feels like it's really satisfying when she learns that and she understands about nature of believing in things and believing in people. It was a nice moment. Very, very nice moment. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think Patty Jenkins knows how to direct actors in really good emotional scenes. In fact, I would like to see her make another movie, but like not as just a sequel or adaptation. Even though she would be good at doing that as well. Like if she did Wonder Woman 2, that'd be great.
As long I want to do it though.
Yeah.
So let's let Seth do it.
Okay. Yeah. Right. But I'd like to see her do more movies. Although I'll have to see Monster. But
it will. It's good.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see her do more movies that are original.
She makes Charlize Theron look ugly.
That was cool.
Hard to do.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's really all the spoiler I could think of I would like to talk about.
And guys, if you listen to this spoiler part, thank you. Hope you've seen the movie. And thank you. Me and Jackson are wrapping things up right now then. We're about to go see It Comes at Night in about 15 minutes. Starts pretty soon. Thank you guys for listening. Go see Wonder Woman if you haven't. It is worth your money.
It's very worth it.
And next week we'll be reviewing It Comes at Night
And the Mummy.
And The Mummy. We'll be back in an edit bay, I believe, next week.
Yes. Next week I'm starting school again, except it's a boot camp, but I'm going to get access to rent or use edited bay, so now we don't have to film in our bedrooms anymore.
Which have been fun, though. It's been good, kind of just hanging out around.
Oh, yeah. And it's always nice to have some nice David Lynch wind, creepy ambience in the background. So I don't mind it. I like wind.
Of course.
Or just background noises, but yeah, this time we're gonna be in an actual edit bay where things are just gonna be quiet and it's just gonna be us talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, Seth, where can they find you?
On Facebook, it's Seth Austin Orris. YouTube, it's Seth Orris. And also our YouTube, Jackson and Seth at the Movies.
That's right.
Jackson, where can the people who listen to this find you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook for Jackson Hayes. They can also find my Instagram, I Directed Jackson, with my really cool photos and pictures of cool things, movies, and my movie collection. And also, I have my own YouTube channel as well, where I make original films. And of course, we have our own YouTube channel, like he said. So, yeah, other than that, thank you guys for listening to this podcast. You guys are awesome. What do you guys think? Like, comment. What's your opinion on this movie? Do you agree or disagree with us? What do you think? What's really great about this movie? Share this with your friends, and we will see you all later.
Peace out, mother freakers.
Heckin'.